There comes a moment in every human life when silence becomes heavier than sound, when the universe stops whispering and begins to speak clearly. And today this message reaches you not by accident. God said, "This is my last and final warning to you." Not to frighten you, but to awaken you. Not to punish you, but to redirect you. Not to break you, but to rebuild you. Life has tried to teach you through discomfort, through delays, through losses, through intuition that you kept ignoring, through signs you saw but didn't act on. But now the universe is no longer sending hints. It is sending clarity. This message is that clarity you are being asked, no, called to rise, because the version of you that the world needs cannot be built in hesitation. And the version of you you have been living as is too small for your destiny. There comes a moment in every person's life when the universe stops speaking in gentle whispers and begins to speak in ways that cannot be ignored. You begin to feel it in the heaviness of your chest, in the quiet ache of your spirit, in the fatigue that settles into your bones every time you return to a place, a habit, or a person that no longer serves your growth. This is not coincidence. This is not weakness. This is your inner self, your higher self, trying to protect you from the very things you continue to run back to. The message is simple, and yet it is one of the hardest lessons a human being must learn. Stop returning to what damages you. Damage does not always look like destruction. Sometimes it looks like familiarity. It looks like comfort. It looks like a place you have known for so long that you have forgotten how to exist outside of it. Sometimes it looks like the people who once felt like home but have now become a cage. Sometimes it looks like the habits that once helped you cope but now keep you trapped. Sometimes it looks like the version of yourself you keep choosing because you are afraid of who you might become. If you truly let go of your past, damage can be quiet. It can be subtle. It can disguise itself as love, as loyalty, as nostalgia, as temporary relief. But deep down your soul always knows the truth. It knows when something is draining you. It knows when something is pulling you backward. It knows when something is lowering your vibration, weakening your discipline, clouding your purpose. It knows even when your mind refuses to listen. Every time you return to what damages you, your spirit becomes a little heavier. Not because you are weak, but because you are betraying yourself. There is a certain type of exhaustion that comes from physical labor, a fatigue that you can cure with rest. But there is another kind of exhaustion, the spiritual one, that no amount of sleep can fix. It is the exhaustion you feel when you keep giving your energy to situations that do not deserve it, to people who do not appreciate it, to habits that destroy it. You can rest your body, but if your spirit remains in the same toxic environment, the fatigue will return the moment you wake up. Life tries to warn you in gentle ways at first. Small discomforts, subtle intuition, quiet uneasiness. Maybe you feel a shift in someone's words. Maybe you notice your mood changing around certain people. Maybe you catch yourself feeling anxious in the very environment you keep convincing yourself is okay. These are signs. These are whispers. But most people ignore whispers because they don't want to confront the truth. Confrontation requires courage. And courage requires change. And change is something the mind often resists even when the soul is begging for it. So the universe increases the volume. The discomfort grows stronger. The signs become louder. People reveal their true intentions. Situations collapse. Habits show their consequences. Peace becomes harder to find. You begin to feel disconnected from your own life. That is not punishment. That is guidance. When something is no longer aligned with your spirit, the universe will remove your comfort from it. Not because it wants to harm you, but because it wants to prevent you from continuing to harm yourself. Still, many people return. They return because they fear loneliness, because the unknown terrifies them more than the pain they have learned to tolerate. Because suffering has become familiar and familiarity can feel safer than healing, because they have confused attachment with love, routine with loyalty, and temporary relief with peace. But every return carries a cost. Every time you go back to what damages you, you take something away from the person you are meant to become. You delay the life that is trying to reach you. You push away the blessings that require a healthier version of you. You close the door to opportunities that cannot coexist with the environments and people you refuse to let go of. The truth is harsh but liberating. You cannot carry your old life into the new chapter that is waiting for you. The habits that numbed you will not help you rise. The people who doubted you will not help you grow. The places where you became small will not allow you to expand. The routines that kept you safe will not unlock your potential. You must release the weight before you can rise. You must detach from the past before you can walk into your destiny. You must stop entertaining what weakens you. If you want to step into what strengthens you, letting go is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of self-love. You are not abandoning people. You are choosing peace. You are not betraying your past. You are honoring your future. You are not being selfish. You are finally learning to protect your energy. There is nothing noble about tolerating environments that harm your spirit. There is nothing admirable about staying in places that break you. There is nothing virtuous about shrinking yourself so others can feel comfortable. You were not sent to this world to survive in pain. You were sent to evolve, to expand, to elevate. The moment you stop returning to what damages you, everything begins to shift. Your mind becomes clearer. Your emotions become lighter. Your boundaries become stronger. Your intuition becomes sharper. The heaviness that once lived in your chest begins to dissolve. You start to feel differently, not because life magically became easier, but because you finally stopped fighting the guidance that was always meant to lead you toward a better path. What damages you is not only external. Sometimes the most harmful thing you return to is your own old identity, the one built from fear, from doubt, from insecurity, from past experiences that shaped you but no longer define you. You keep returning to limiting beliefs that tell you you're not enough. You return to memories of failure that convince you not to try again. You return to stories you outgrew, but continue to repeat because they feel familiar. You return to a version of yourself that no longer fits who you are becoming. And so life tries to break that identity, not to hurt you, but to free you. Growth requires death, the death of old belief systems, old patterns, old comfort zones. You cannot become the person you were meant to be while holding on to the person you used to be. Sometimes what damages you is not malicious, it is simply outdated. Some people were only meant to walk with you for a chapter, not your entire book. Some habits served you in survival mode, but cannot serve you in growth mode. Some environments were stepping stones, not destinations. And when you cling to what has already expired, suffering becomes inevitable. Pain becomes the teacher you refuse to learn from gently. Nothing in life stays forever, and that includes the things you are afraid to outgrow. But the beauty of letting go is that it creates space. Space for peace, for clarity, for purpose, for new blessings that were always waiting for you to make room for them. But why is it so hard? Because your mind is wired for familiarity, not happiness. Because healing requires moving through discomfort. And discomfort is something most people avoid. Because letting go feels like losing something, even when what you're losing is what is hurting you. Because we fear the unknown even when the known is destroying us. But the unknown is where your transformation lives. The unknown is where your strength grows. The unknown is where your life begins again. And God, the universe, your inner self, whatever name you choose, will keep sending you the same lesson, the same signs, the same warnings until you finally choose yourself. Your intuition is not random. It is your internal compass. Every time you feel uneasy around someone, that is guidance. Every time you feel drained after certain conversations, that is a signal. Every time you try to rest, but your spirit still feels heavy, that is a warning. Your soul speaks long before your mind understands. But if you silence your intuition because you fear change, then life will intervene in a way that you cannot ignore. The collapse you experience is often the breakthrough you avoided. The ending you feared is often the beginning you needed. The discomfort you feel is often the universe removing you from what you refuse to walk away from voluntarily. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff. Behind you is everything familiar, even if it has been hurting you. In front of you is open sky, uncertain, unfamiliar, unpredictable. Most people step backward because fear convinces them that safety exists in what they already know. But real safety exists in alignment, not in comfort. Real protection exists in truth, not in familiarity. Real peace exists in release, not in attachment. And sometimes the universe will push you forward because it knows you will never jump on your own. You must understand something deeply. Holding on to what damages you is not loyalty. It is self-abandonment. Staying where you are mistreated is not patience. It is self-neglect. Returning to what breaks you is not love. It is a form of spiritual self-harm. You were not created to suffer repeatedly in the same cycle. You were created to grow beyond it. You must choose differently if you want to live differently. You must be brave enough to walk away from the people who do not value you. You must be disciplined enough to release the habits that sabotage you. You must be conscious enough to recognize the patterns that repeat in your life. And you must be honest enough to admit when something or someone is damaging you, even if you once loved it. The moment you choose yourself, you break the cycle. The moment you prioritize your peace, you end the pattern. The moment you walk away from what damages you, you step into alignment with what was meant for you. And alignment is where miracles happen. Alignment is where clarity returns. Alignment is where your true life begins. This is why the message comes as a warning, not from fear, but from love. Because you are standing at a crossroads and the universe is telling you that you cannot go forward while still carrying what is pulling you backward. If you want to step into your destiny, you must release what has been draining your spirit. If you want to evolve, you must stop returning to what keeps you small. If you want to feel peace again, you must stop choosing your old pain. You are stronger than your patterns. You are bigger than your past. You are greater than the limitations you once settled for. And the moment you stop returning to what damages you, life will begin to open in ways you have not yet imagined. There is a moment in life when the truth you have been avoiding begins to rise within you like a quiet fire, slow but persistent, calm but unignorable. It sits in your chest not as anxiety but as pressure, not as fear but as a calling. You feel it when the world around you grows silent, and you notice a small whisper inside saying, "You are meant for more than this." It is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is steady, patient, and timeless. That whisper is your purpose, and it has been calling your name for years, but too often you silence it with distractions, doubts, excuses, and the belief that you have more time. But life in its wisdom begins to warn you. You must answer your purpose before it's too late. Purpose does not scream. It does not force itself into your life. It waits, and while it waits, it watches you repeat the same cycles, protect the same limitations, and carry the same fears that prevent you from becoming who you were created to be. Purpose is the quiet knowing that you are not living at your full capacity. It is the awareness that you have potential inside you that you have not touched. It is the feeling that something greater is possible, something more aligned, more authentic, more meaningful. And yet, even with this awareness, many people continue to postpone their calling, believing that someday will come on its own. But someday is not a guarantee. Someday is a comfort you give yourself so you don't have to confront the discomfort of change today. You have talents inside you that have been dormant for too long. You have dreams you abandoned not because they were impossible, but because you convinced yourself you were not ready. You have ideas that entered your mind not by accident, but because they were seeds meant to be planted through your actions. You carry wisdom shaped by your struggles, vision shaped by your imagination, and strength shaped by your survival. All of these were given to you for a reason. Your purpose has been patiently waiting for the moment when you would finally choose to listen. But life is reminding you now. If you do not answer your calling, the world will never receive the gifts only you can bring. The greatest tragedy in life is not failure. It is not rejection. It is not defeat. The greatest tragedy is living a life where your potential remains untouched, your dreams remain unexpressed, and your gifts remain hidden. The greatest tragedy is waking up decades later and realizing that your soul wanted to grow, but your fear kept you small, that your purpose tried to reach you, but your excuses stood in the way, that life offered you opportunities, but you rejected them because you doubted your own worth. There is no pain greater than the pain of unrealized possibility, the pain of what could have been. The calling inside you does not go away. You can ignore it, bury it, distract yourself from it, but it will always return. Some nights it keeps you awake. Some days it feels like restlessness. Sometimes it shows up as dissatisfaction, even when your life seems fine on the outside. That feeling is not confusion. It is direction. It is the universe telling you, this is not your final form. This is not the end of your story. The discomfort you feel is not something to escape. It is something to investigate, because every dream inside you is a responsibility. Every talent inside you is an assignment. Every ability inside you is a message. And the message is clear. You were not sent here just to exist. You were sent here to create, to influence, to evolve, to elevate others through your own growth. Purpose does not require perfection. It requires willingness. Yet many people wait for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect confidence before they begin. But perfection is the enemy of progress, and waiting for it is the fastest way to lose your destiny. The right time is not in the future. The right time is the moment you decide to take one step forward. The right time is when you are still breathing, still learning, still capable of choosing a different path. As long as breath is in your body, purpose is in your reach. But the more you neglect it, the harder it becomes to hear its voice. Not because it weakens, but because your distractions grow louder. Many people tell themselves the lie that one day they will chase their purpose after things get easier. After life becomes stable, after fear disappears. But ease is not where purpose lies. Purpose is born in challenge, strengthened in discipline, expanded in courage. Purpose requires you to walk through uncertainty with trust. It asks you to leave behind the version of yourself built from your past and step into the version built from your potential. It asks you to stop hiding behind excuses and start living behind intention. Your purpose is calling you because there is something only you can do. Your voice carries a frequency no one else carries. Your experience carries a lesson no one else can teach. Your journey carries a medicine no one else can provide. There are people in this world who will only be touched, moved, or awakened through your presence, your words, your actions, your example. If you silence your purpose, you silence the impact you were meant to create. You may think your dream is too small, but you do not know how far its ripple will reach. You may think your talent is insignificant, but you do not see how deeply it could heal another person's life. You may think your ideas are not enough, but you do not understand that even one idea pursued with courage can shift the course of your future. You may think your voice does not matter, but there is someone in this world who needs to hear it. Someone whose breakthrough is waiting on your bravery. The fear you feel is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that you are standing at the edge of your growth. Fear does not mean you are unprepared. Fear means you are expanding beyond the limits of your past. Every meaningful transformation begins with fear. Every powerful journey begins with uncertainty. Every person who ever accomplished something significant started without all the answers. The difference between those who succeed and those who do not is not talent. It is action. It is the willingness to answer the call even when you do not feel ready. When you choose your purpose, life rearranges itself around your decision. Doors open that you didn't know existed. People appear who guide, support, and elevate you. Opportunities emerge at the exact moment you need them. Your intuition strengthens. Your energy increases. Your confidence grows through action, not before it. Purpose aligns your path. But alignment only happens once you commit. Life will keep sending you reminders. first as gentle whispers, then as emotional discomfort, then as dissatisfaction, then as restlessness, then as a sudden moment of clarity. And if you keep ignoring all of it, life will send you disruption. Not to punish you, but to push you back into your path. When you ignore your inner calling, life becomes heavier. You begin to feel disconnected, directionless, drained. That is not depression. It is misalignment. When you live outside of your purpose, your energy dims. When you move toward your purpose, your energy rises. Purpose is your natural state. Anything else creates friction. You must understand something deeply. Purpose is not something you find. It is something you remember. It has always been within you. It shows itself in the things that bring you alive, the things you lose track of time doing, the things that awaken inspiration rather than obligation. Your purpose is the intersection between what you love, what you are good at, and what elevates others. But recognition alone is not enough. You must act, you must choose. You must say yes to the voice inside you that has been calling you to rise. And do not underestimate how many times life has already tried to guide you. The opportunities you ignored, the ideas you dismissed, the dreams you postponed, the moments when your heart felt drawn towards something, but your fear pulled you away. All of those were invitations. Invitations you will continue to receive until you finally accept. Because purpose is patient, but life is not infinite. Every day you delay, you lose time that you cannot regain. You may still reach your destiny, but you will reach it later with more scars than necessary. The wake-up call you feel now is not an accident. It is not random. It is not a coincidence. It is divine timing. You are being asked to stop running from what you are meant to become. You are being asked to stop betraying your own potential. You are being asked to reclaim the life that fear took from you. You are being asked to step into your true identity. The identity that is powerful, capable, disciplined, and aligned. There will always be reasons to wait. There will always be fears that whisper. There will always be doubts that rise. But you must choose to rise higher than your excuses. You must choose to step forward even if your hands are shaking. You must choose to trust the calling inside you more than the comfort around you. When you choose purpose, you choose a life of meaning over a life of survival. You choose growth over stagnation. You choose courage over fear. And God, the universe, your higher self, all of it supports you the moment you make that decision. Your purpose is calling you. It has been calling you for a long time, and now that call has become louder because the time has come. You cannot hide from it anymore. You cannot postpone it anymore. You cannot pretend you do not feel it. If you do not answer your purpose, life will feel incomplete. No matter how much you achieve, no matter how much you accumulate, no matter how comfortable you become, fulfillment comes from alignment, not from avoidance. This is your warning, but it is also your invitation. Choose your purpose now while you still have the power to shape your life. Do not wait until life forces you into change. Do not wait until regret becomes heavier than fear. Do not wait until you are older and wishing you had been braver. Choose now. Step now. Begin now. Your purpose is calling, and this time you must answer. Discipline is often misunderstood. Many people see it as restriction, as limitation, as something heavy that steals comfort and adds pressure. But the truth is the opposite. Discipline is not a prison. It is the key that unlocks freedom. It is the bridge between who you are now and who you have the potential to become. It is the internal agreement you make with yourself that your future deserves more devotion than your excuses. When God gives a final warning, when life sends a message loud enough to wake you from your sleep, it is often this: you cannot pray for a better life while living with the habits that keep you small. You cannot ask for transformation while repeating the choices that create your struggle. Discipline is the language through which your purpose communicates with reality. Without it, nothing changes. With it, everything changes. There comes a moment when you realize that motivation will not always be there. Inspiration will fade. Excitement will fluctuate. But discipline is the structure that remains when emotion disappears. It is the force that carries you through the days when your mind tries to pull you backward into old patterns. Discipline is the promise you make to your future self, and every time you keep that promise, your soul becomes stronger. Every time you break it, you weaken the bridge that leads you forward. People often wait for the perfect feeling before they act. They wait to feel ready, to feel energized, to feel confident. But discipline teaches you a deeper truth. You must act even when you don't feel like it. Because if you only move when you feel inspired, you will move too little and too late. The life you want requires consistency, not convenience. It requires commitment, not comfort. Growth is not built from occasional effort. It is built from the days when you show up even when everything inside you wants to stop. That is where true transformation begins. Discipline is a spiritual practice. It is not just about waking up early or working hard. It is about mastering the mind. The mind is powerful, but without direction it becomes your biggest obstacle. It will create stories to protect your fears, excuses to defend your comfort, and illusions to justify inaction. It will convince you that you have more time, that you can start tomorrow, that your dreams can wait. But your dreams are not waiting. Your potential is not waiting. Only your fear is waiting for you to surrender to it again. Discipline is the way you take back control of your mind. It is the way you remind yourself that you are in charge, not your excuses. When you commit to discipline, you begin to rewire your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who struggles and start seeing yourself as someone who is capable, reliable, and strong. Identity follows action. Every disciplined act is a vote for the person you want to become. Every undisciplined act is a vote for the person you are trying to outgrow. Change does not happen in an instant. It happens through the daily silent decisions that no one sees. It happens through the choices you make when no one is watching. It happens through the internal battles you win long before your external life begins to transform. People who lack discipline suffer in ways they do not even recognize. They suffer from the chaos of inconsistency. They suffer from the weight of unfulfilled dreams. They suffer from regret, from disappointment, from the quiet pain of knowing they could be more, but are choosing less. They suffer from being controlled by impulses rather than direction. They suffer because their life moves them instead of them moving their life. Discipline removes this suffering. It creates order where there was disorder, clarity where there was confusion, strength where there was weakness. It gives you the ability to respond to life rather than react to it. The problem is that most people associate discipline with pain. They see it as something harsh, something that takes effort, something that demands sacrifice. But the truth is that life will require sacrifice. No matter what, you will either sacrifice for your dreams or sacrifice your dreams. You will either choose the discomfort of discipline or the discomfort of regret. You will either face the temporary pain of effort or the long-lasting pain of inaction. There is no path without pain. The only difference is whether the pain builds you or breaks you. Discipline is not punishment. It is protection. It protects you from becoming a prisoner of your impulses. It protects you from living life aimlessly. It protects you from the version of yourself that settles for mediocrity. It protects your future from being destroyed by your present comfort. It is the shield that guards your purpose from the distractions of the world. It is the anchor that keeps your spirit grounded in a world full of noise. It is the compass that guides you back to your path when you drift. Without discipline, you are easily influenced by your surroundings. With discipline, you influence your surroundings. One of the most important truths you must understand is this: discipline creates freedom. It may seem contradictory, but freedom does not come from doing whatever you want. Freedom comes from gaining control over the things that control you. Freedom comes from mastering your cravings, your urges, your doubts, your fears, your laziness. Freedom comes from knowing that you can trust yourself. Imagine the strength of becoming a person who does not rely on external pressure to take action. Imagine waking up each day knowing that your own promise to yourself is enough. Imagine living a life where you no longer feel trapped by your own habits. That is freedom, and it is only possible through discipline. When discipline becomes part of your identity, you no longer make decisions based on mood. You make decisions based on purpose. You begin to show up for yourself, not because you feel like it, but because you understand the importance of every moment. You understand that every day is either moving you closer to your destiny or further away from it. There is no neutral. Life is always shifting. Every choice is a step either forward or backward. When you embrace discipline, you choose the direction. You may not realize it now, but discipline affects every aspect of your life. It affects your health because the body cannot flourish without consistent care. It affects your relationships because love cannot thrive without effort, honesty, and intentionality. It affects your mind because clarity cannot exist without structure. It affects your finances because abundance cannot grow without responsibility. It affects your purpose because potential cannot express itself without consistency. Discipline is the foundation beneath everything meaningful. There will be days when you want to quit. Days when the journey feels long, when progress feels slow, when results are invisible. But those are the most important days. Those are the days where average people fall away and extraordinary people rise. Those are the days where life tests you to see if you are truly committed or only interested. Remember this: interest fades, commitment remains. Interest is emotional, commitment is spiritual. Interest is temporary, commitment is identity. Discipline transforms interest into commitment. The road of discipline is not always easy, but it is always worth it. Because discipline does something miraculous over time. It builds momentum. The first steps are difficult. The early days require effort, but gradually your actions become your habits become your nature, and your nature becomes your strength. And once discipline becomes your nature, success becomes inevitable, not because of luck, not because of chance, but because you became the kind of person who earns it. People often pray for strength, but strength comes from discipline. They pray for clarity, but clarity comes from discipline. They pray for blessings, but blessings require the structure and capacity that discipline creates. God does not withhold opportunities. People withhold their own readiness. When your life is disorganized, when your mind is unfocused, when your habits are inconsistent, you are not prepared to receive what you are praying for. Discipline creates the internal order that allows external blessings to enter. If you want a higher life, you must adopt higher habits. If you want a new destiny, you must create a new pattern. If you want transformation, you must train consistently. The body becomes strong through repetition. The mind becomes wise through consistency. The spirit becomes grounded through practice. Discipline is the daily ritual that shapes all three. There is a version of you that you have not met yet, a version that is powerful, sharp, grounded, and unstoppable. That version of you does not appear through wishful thinking. It appears through discipline action. Every time you choose discipline, you step closer to that version. Every time you choose comfort, you step further away. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not luck. It is discipline. This keynote is a reminder, a warning, a wake-up call. The life you desire will not come to you simply because you want it. It will come because you built yourself into the person who can maintain it. Without discipline, dreams collapse under their own weight. With discipline, dreams become reality. You must learn to master your time, your energy, your choices. You must learn to create schedules that align with your goals. You must learn to say no to distractions, to temptations, to invitations that pull you away from your path. You must learn to break the cycle of procrastination, not by force, but by understanding that every moment wasted is a moment taken from your future. You must learn to train your body, not for appearance, but for strength. You must learn to train your mind, not just for knowledge, but for clarity. You must train your discipline, not for control, but for freedom. Remember this always. Discipline is not pain. Discipline is love. It is the deepest form of self-respect. It is saying to yourself, I deserve more than my excuses. It is choosing your future over your temporary comfort. It is honoring your potential instead of surrendering to your fear. It is respecting the sacred gift of time God gave you. It is stepping into your divine responsibility to become the strongest, clearest, most capable version of yourself. You were created with potential, but potential means nothing without discipline. You were given a purpose, but purpose means nothing without discipline. You were shown signs, warnings, dreams, visions, but all of them mean nothing without discipline. This is the message of discipline is your path to freedom. Discipline is your path to transformation. Discipline is your path to the life that has been calling you for years. And if you ignore this message, nothing in your life will change. But if you embrace it, truly embrace it, everything in your life will change. Because discipline does not just shape your actions, it shapes your destiny.